What's up guys? So Plarium has been clearly busy lately because they are dropping a lot of big updates or announcements this week, but today we actually have two pieces of information. One of them is something that has been data mined and people kind of knew about it, and I was already getting kind of antsy that we didn't get any information about this, if it's actually happening, but that's gonna be effects for summoning Soulstones. We are introducing a new type of boost, the Awakening boost. When an Awakening boost is active, your chances of getting souls of a specific rank from Soulstones temporarily increased. Next Tuesday, we're planning to launch the first Awakening boost event, giving you double chance to summon 6-star perfect souls from mortal and immortal souls. Please note this boost applies to the soul rank regardless of its rarity. This event will last for 72 hours. So here is a reminder for everybody that I don't think Plarium ever said they're gonna do events for Soulstone or Soulstones. They also said that they are not gonna do events for primal shards, and it ended up happening. So if there's anything new in the game at some point, some kind of new shard or whatever, expect that they're gonna at some point do an event for it that will give you better odds at getting what you want, even if they don't do it at the beginning. And yeah, I haven't been saving Soulstones. I've been kind of like living in the day, hoping that I would get souls for my core champions and so on. Not like I would have a large amount of Soulstones saved up anyway. Wait, which souls? Was this even on the mortal Soulstones? Okay, mortal and immortal. So not the other ones. Okay, I could have had saved some mortal ones, but I'm gonna get like, I don't know, 20 every week, so... But it will mean more shards for us, so I guess it's good. Not a big surprise, to be honest, but it's gonna help everybody. Honestly, it's probably gonna be a bad thing for me, because the big spenders are gonna wail out on the first Soulstone event and might even have them saved up, and they're probably gonna get a lot of upgrades, but I'm sure on the long run it's a good thing for everybody. Then we got another, a bit more bigger piece of news, since this wasn't exactly data mined, since they know that people are data mining these things and they're not gonna put them into the game files until they're about to release them. But we got the new champion, Aranz the Magnificent. These are very hard words for me, but it's basically gonna be something like Lysandra, or a new CC champion, which seems incredibly powerful, and I'm probably gonna get destroyed by him a lot in live arena. I don't think people are really gonna use him in classic arena because the meta for these two contents are very different, but in live arena I'm sure he's gonna be very popular. So A1 has 35% that books to 50? No, 55. That's a weird number. That books to 55% chance to place one random active skill by the enemy champion on 2-turn cooldown, and fills his turn meter by 10% for each added turn to the cooldown. Pretty good for A1. It's kind of similar to what Narses has, so it's kind of surprising, but I guess they are released at the same time, so... Then the A2 attacks all enemies, steals all the turn meter of each target, except enemies under sheep debuffs. Also places a stun debuff for 1 turn on all enemies not under sheep debuff, and it books down to 3-turn cooldown. Of course, this is gonna be very annoying and a strong skill. I mean, Lysandra was already still pretty good and has seen some use in live arena, but so it's gonna steal all turn meter and stun the enemy. That sounds like basically them losing 2 turns in a row. Of course, he's susceptible to getting polymorphed, but the risks are definitely worth taking, because if you go first and the enemy loses their 2 first turns, you basically won the fight at that point. So I'm expecting to see him a lot in speed teams, and he does have a speed aura as well, which makes it very good. And this kind of adds an interesting element, because often the types of champions you would see in speed teams in live arena are gonna be like Chu Chen, Sifi, and Arbiter. And now we got another champion with speed aura as well. So even if enemy is going for a speed team, maybe it's more viable now for 2 different players to go for a speed team at the same time. Something that doesn't happen that often. I mean, people do it, but often the other player is kind of forced to go in a go second team if the other one is going for a speed team. But then on the A3, places sheep debuff for an enemy for 1 turn, then has 75% chance, which of course boosts to 100%, of removing all buffs from all enemies, fills this champion's turn meter by 5% for each buff removed. I think it's honestly kind of cute that he has these kinds of effects, because he seems super strong, and I want him to have some risk involved, so he can get polymorphed. But again, on this skill, it's kind of done in the proper order, that he first places the sheep debuff and then does the buff strip. So he's probably gonna land that at least, even if he gets polymorphed at some point. But then again, he gets some turn meter fill, like he does with every skill except the A2. And of course, polymorph, Wukong polymorph in 1 target was already insanely powerful, but this polymorphs 1 target like Wukong, and then does buff strip on all enemies and fills his turn meter. So this is obviously way better, which is kind of surprising that this is gonna be Fusion Champion, by the way. If I forgot to mention that, I guess I'll mention it in thumbnail or the video text, so it shouldn't be issue. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that they're giving this champion for everybody, and he's not a void champion, and under like, it would make more sense to release him and then do a 15x event for him, instead of putting him out for everybody, which almost makes me believe that they're gonna do something to counter with all of the CCs. Maybe I'm getting a bit tinfoil hatty over here, but this almost seems too good to be true. So if we're gonna see something to counter polymorph or CC in the future even more, then I called it, but we already have kind of decent amount of that stuff in the game, so I'm kind of surprised if they're gonna add something else like that, but it wouldn't make any sense to release a champion like this for everybody otherwise. So, but anyway, so then on his passive, whenever a sheep debuff is removed or expires on an enemy, increases the cooldown of a random active skill on that enemy to its max, fills this champion's turn meter by 10% for each turn added to the cooldown. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. So even more cooldown increase and turn meter manipulation. He has 2 different skills with cooldown decrease. Of course, it's not the same as Yumeko or Warlord or so on. But then he also has buff strip, polymorph. He has polymorph and stun and lots of turn meter manipulation and speed aura. So I don't see why this champion wouldn't be picked a lot in the speed teams. I expect to see him a lot. I think if he didn't have the polymorph on his 1 skill, he would still be very good, but maybe used a bit less. But since he also does the polymorph, it kind of gives you a lot of option that you could open with that skill and maybe polymorph the main nuker of the enemy team, or the only nuker if you ban the other nuker, which I expect these speed teams to often do. But it's kind of hard to make a comeback from there. Imagine that the enemy team has this champion at 450 speed or something, And the first thing that he does is polymorph your only nuker, because he banned the other one. And after that, he's obviously gonna move once or twice or maybe even 3 times before your nuker, and he's gonna get all of his turn meter stolen and stunned and everything else. So there's pretty much no comeback for your nuker after that, unless you can kill this champion or something else. I think he's gonna be incredibly oppressive in live arena, and he seems so annoying that I would almost expect to see him a little bit in classic arena. But the issue with everything else with classic arena meta is that there's not that much room to go for new strategies, because even though in live arena this is gonna overpower you and they're gonna ban one of your nukers and then destroy you, but in classic arena, if you put this champion in your defense team, the enemy is just gonna come with double Taras, and you have 0 chance to win against double Taras, even if you can polymorph one of them, and he might even build the HP on the team that way that he's not even gonna target one of the Tarases. But even if he could do it, then that team is still gonna win. So, but maybe people will do something with this. Maybe they could even use this in a speed team with Taras and Marichka. Who knows? I'm expecting that probably somebody who is incredibly fast, they will maybe put him in defense team with the duo, but I'm expecting him to mostly be a live arena champion, which seems fun, but I don't think I have the means to get a lot of use out of him. Let me quickly show you to embarrass myself a little bit, but if we quickly take a look at my fastest champions in the game, it's gonna be Arbiter at a whopping 339 speed, and probably around same speed I also have Mikage. Oh, Mikage is faster. Mikage is at 341 speed. So those are my 2 favorite champions, or my fastest champions. I don't think I have the means to use this one, because other people are gonna have multiple speed champions that are more than 100 speed faster than my speed boosters. But he's so good that I will definitely build him. Maybe I will put him in 4-piece stone skin and I will still try to use him. So there's a lot of competition when there is other good champions for speed teams like Mikage or Shuchen and so on. But I don't see... Of course, support Wukong does have the stun on A1, which is pretty good. But I don't see why this champion wouldn't replace support Wukong, because he basically does the same things and a little bit more. The only difference is that Wukong has the passive that is good in a go second team, but if you're already using a speed team, and speed teams often do use Wukong as well, I think those champions are always gonna prefer this one instead of Wukong. And it is kind of shocking that he's Magic Affinity and not Void one, or even Primal champion, but of course then he would need a second set of skills and he might even be better than this, but yeah, let's not make this video any longer. It was just a quick update about this champion. Tell me in comments what you think about him, are you gonna use him and so on. Maybe I missed out on something very important, but that's it for this video. Tomorrow is gonna be live arena. See ya.